Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I have some pretty scary and wild encounters for you. So, if that sounds like something that you like, definitely pull up a stump with me, and let's jump into it. Also, this is your daily reminder to remember to drink water. Anyways, let's jump into it. Thank you for watching. So I live somewhere in Great Britain. I had insomnia, so I decided to take a long walk. I wandered around the outskirts of a city. In the general area, there's a super big park there. I wander around for a while, and I end up in this dark copse of trees at the bottom of a hill leading back up to the outer suburbs. In this copse was the ruins of an ancient stone chapel. There was no roof, and part of the walls were missing. There was a small stone doorframe and the remains of windows that were all empty. There was flowers and photographs piled up against a small alcove in one of the walls. I think this is quite nice and contemplative, so I decided to walk around and have a smoke. As I do this, I get a really strange feeling of something looking at my back. I turn around and nothing is there, but the feeling remains. Eventually, it gets unusually quiet, and the sensation of me being stalked or watched gets worse and worse. I decide to just leave, ASAP. I leave the copse, and I turn around, back to look one more time, and there's nothing there. The copse is gone. The church is gone. It's just a trail, a patch of trees. I decide to just leave the area entirely after that. This happened way back when I was in late middle school. The school was in the process of being rebuilt. There was construction crews working and loud noises all day every day. So, one morning before noon, the sky was bright and clear. Everyone was outside working as we sit inside and deal with the noise. Then suddenly, at the drop of a pin, everything goes silent. I look out the windows and I see pitch black darkness, so dark that you couldn't see the street a few feet away. The teacher stops the lesson and walks over to the windows. She just sits there and stares at it for a few minutes. She hurries out the door and into the hallway. We're more or less all just crapping our pants right now. We hear the teachers talking outside the door. Our teacher comes back inside the room and insists that it's a storm moving through. But there's no wind, no rain, no lightning, no clouds in the sky, not even any noise, just darkness. Another teacher tells the kids not to look outside and demands that we just sit there and read our books. We sit there in silence as the teacher stares out the window, and just like that, the sky's clear again. It was like someone had flipped a switch. All the sounds of construction started back up like they had been there the whole time. School got dismissed early that day. The parents are all confused with the explanation because there was no storm that day. And we were told that school was called off because of some other dubious reason. No idea what happened either. The teachers wouldn't talk about it after that. I've never told this story before, but here goes. It happened back in 2013 or 2014. I get the dates mixed up. So me and two friends, I'll call them M and S, just for privacy, we go to camp for 3 days in the Rockies because of how close we live to them. It's late August at this time. It's super smoky due to the forest fires, but we have been planning this trip for quite a while, so we were gonna go anyways. And being in the woods like this just kinda helps us all to unwind from all the BS of normal life. So the drive out is quite uneventful, so I'll knock it into that. We parked our Jeep, we grabbed our gear, and we started hiking up. Probably 2 hours or so is how long it would take to hike up to where we were going, which was in this washout. Now, it was extremely quiet and dead, which we expected due to the smoke and due to the fact that we had gone during the week. So halfway up, you enter this natural alleyway between a sheer cliff and thick woods that lead to another sheer cliff, and there is petroglyphs on the sheer cliff sides. Anyways, we make it into an area to camp. It's raised above a natural riverbed that floods in the spring. Right now, it's just a small stream. So we set up our camp, and it's been low light the entire day due to the smoke. We can't even see the sun due to the peaks and the smoke above us. Everything looks almost muted in color. So we break out the refried beans, ham, and thick naan bread for supper, and then peanut butter, milk chocolate, and Oreos for dessert, and we pig out. M is being unusually quiet. He keeps glancing up at the ridgeline on our far side. I think to myself, whatever, we're just trying to eat our meals because that hike took a lot out of us. So we talk about stuff like what stresses us out and everything. We finish up eating, we wind down, and then I volunteer to go loop our stuff and food so no bears try to brush their teeth while M&S try to fix up our tarp so that it better covers our tent. M tries to persuade me to put it in a dry bag. S and I think that's stupid. I say that we'll go loop our stuff, you and S fix the tarp. We keep arguing about this. M isn't stupid. He knows that it's dumb to stink up a bag with food while camping in bear territory. It gets unnecessarily heated, and M finally tells us to stay by the tent and he'll go loop our stuff. I agree with this just to end the fight. S and I fix the tarp and go off to plant a tree or do our business. Anyways, while I'm doing my business, I keep seeing things at my peripheral vision up on the ridge through the trees. You know how you see stuff better at the corner of your eye instead of looking straight at it? It keeps moving when I'm not looking directly at it, but it stops when I look at it. I think maybe I'm just dehydrated, or my vision is blurry from being tired or something. I finish my business, I cover it with dirt, as you do, and I walk back down to the tent. And I find M sitting down on a log while S is covering his shin with bandaging. I ask what happened. It turns out that M was running across the dry riverbed that's covered in small boulders and loose grit, and fell and split his shin on one of the boulders. He explains that he felt super weirded out, like he was being watched or being stalked. M says it was almost as if he fell into a frozen lake while he was looping our bag. That's how cold he physically got. I reminded him of the sudden fear when you were in a basement by yourself, and he said that it was like that, but on a magnitude of 11. If I hadn't just used the bathroom, I would have done it in my pants right then. I tell them to stop screwing around. He responds by telling me that he isn't, and he is pleading for us to take him seriously. S's face is completely stone serious, and M is not really one to make jokes of any kind. Never mind a joke out here in the wilderness. At this point, I kinda have the urge to crawl under a rock and not be out this far in nature anymore. It doesn't matter if it's the goat man or some dumb black bear. We all just kinda want to leave. It's getting late though, probably at that point around 8, and we weren't gonna make it back down till at least midnight because of how difficult it is to descend the trail, especially at night. So it's quite a dilemma. We either stay with whatever is out here, or we break an ankle in the middle of the night on the side of the mountain. We choose to stay on the mountain until whenever the sun comes up again. What we do though is we move the tents away from the original area, but we still have a hidden line of sight from where we originally were, just in case stuff gets really freaky and whatever was spooking M comes to the original campground. I asked him where he looped our stuff. He said that it was in a small area of trees near the middle of the riverbed because he didn't want to go near the ridge, which was why he didn't want me going in case I got too close to it. It confirmed that what I had seen earlier up on the ridge was not M. I want to vomit from how nervous I am. I learned that deep down, I am just a scared kid at this point. It was at that point too that I regretted living somewhere where you're not allowed to carry firearms on a hike. So we're staying in our tent that's covered in branches to try and hide it. I pray for the first time in a long time to whatever God that exists to get us through this night. Eventually, I fall asleep from exhaustion, just from trying to stay awake. I get woken up at some point in the night from S shaking me awake. M really needs to go to the bathroom. S wants to help me convince him to stay in the tent and just use an empty bottle. S says that he didn't fall asleep because he was too scared. The next part is literally the most terrifying thing I have ever heard in my life. Around 3 a.m., someone saw boulders and gravel falling from down the ridge. Something was crawling or walking on all fours. It came down the ridgeline. It was crawling or walking over to the boulders, again on all fours. Then, it bear crawled over to where our camp was and circled around it. S mentioned that the silhouette looked like a really skinny human. M added that they were wearing a large sweater and a backpack, and S said that they had super screwed up hair and something was wrong with their face. Then it stood up and started walking on two legs with a limp or a gait at an angle in the direction of where our camp used to be. S said the thing kept looking straight ahead, which originally was straight at our tent. Eventually, he passed our tent. Neither of them knew where it went, so he didn't want us leaving the tent for any reason. I have no idea what to do. We end up waiting until the sun is up enough. We pack our bags in the tent. Then we listen around to see if anything's near us. Then we take apart the tent while still inside of it. We get out. I grab the tent fabric. M grabs the poles and stakes, and S grabs the tarp and the other stuff. We end up leaving our bag tied up in the trees. We try to make the hike down as quickly as possible. We toss our bags down any steep declines that we come across. We keep looking behind us because we keep hearing things. Eventually, we reach the Jeep. It's weird. The Jeep has been covered in branches, almost like it was camouflaged, but this wasn't us, and I mean it was covered from top to bottom, like somebody tried really hard to camouflage our Jeep. This was deliberate, we think. We were really confused and scared over this. We clean it off the best we can, throw our stuff in the Jeep. We stopped at this reserve convenience store and I bought a pack of cigarettes just to stop myself from shaking. I really don't think that my friends were making it up or that they were joking. I saw the gash on M's shin and how he ended up peeing in his Nalgene. And not only that, we left his expensive bag up in the trees, and then S broke down on the way home. I knew that we were in native territory, but I really don't think that that was a hiker. I don't know what it was. I grew up in southwest Georgia, and I had friends and family scattered all around the state and northern Florida. For those of you who don't know, most of that was in Indian territory. Most of the old-timers won't mess around in there, even to hunt. They say it's out of respect, but they were always quick to change the subject, so that always got me wondering. And that was the whole I'm a teenager and I'm a badass Green Beret Superman mentality. So me and my 3 friends decide to do a march across some old Indian lands. There's snakes and wolves, coyotes and stuff out there, so we bring some weapons. I get my SKS, my friends each bring a pump gun, one brings a .38 revolver, and another a 9mm. We bring a tent and stuff just in case we hit bad weather, or we screw around too much and just waste too much daylight. So we gear up. We tell our folks that we're going to my friend's property for target practice. They bought it. And we left Friday around 11 a.m. We took 2 cars so we could park on both sides of the territory so we'd have a quick way to leave no matter what. We get to the edge of this small town, which is basically a gas station and a town hall. And we followed this old trail map that we Xeroxed at the library, and then we headed to this creek, which marked the start of the territory. We unload our stuff and locked the truck and crossed the creek at just past 2 p.m. So we've all been walking for a while now, and we're just shooting the breeze, talking, and enjoying the scenery. It was marvelous. No trash at all. Bees and dragonflies and small ponds and trees, small brush all around. It was a land that was seemingly untouched by time. We saw at least 4 deer walking around as proud as can be, and birds were everywhere. If it wasn't for the gnats and mosquitoes, it would have been perfect. A real Kodak moment, if you will. We keep checking the map and a compass we brought with us because we're super macho survivalists. We see on the map that we have a strip of woods coming up on us, and it'll be easier to walk through it than go around it. Plus, it is starting to get a little late in the day. We decide to walk for about 30 minutes and then make camp. We've gotten through most of the trek, I'd say 60% or so. It was really fun. We make a tent, we get a fire going, and we cook some food. And as we're doing that, we're talking about who's going to beat Spurrier and the Gators, or who wants to sleep with who from school. So the sun goes down and we're still just screwing around. I check my watch and it's almost 10 p.m. I said that I'm going to sleep so we can get up early tomorrow and just get out of the woods and shoot some, so it won't be a totally wasted trip. My friends nod and I head in, I get cozy, I fart, and then I go to sleep. A few hours later though, my friend Jorge shakes me awake, and I hate that. It's a bad way to bring me out of sleep. People have gotten hit because of it. But I look at his face, and he seems tense. I ask him what's up, and he says he thinks that someone else is in the woods with us. I get up immediately thinking that it's one of the townies just being an ass and keeping up the no trespassers vibe. I clamber out of the tent, and it's sprinkling rain, and it's pretty chilly for being May. Jorge comes out and stands behind Chris and Austin, who are staring out into the woods. Both of them have their hands on their shotguns, and they aren't saying anything. I stand there for a minute, and I hear nothing but the rain, and I laugh a little. I say, "Are you guys trying to pull my leg?" All 3 of them turn and tell me to shut up and listen. I get a little angry, and I say, "Well, to hell with all y'all, I'm going back to bed. Quit screwing around trying with ghost stories." As soon as I pull the flap on the tent, I hear a voice. A man's voice. Kinda deep, but with that touch of age in it that makes it a bit smoother. You know what I mean? So I stand back up and start to look. All 3 of my friends are swiveling their heads back and forth. One on the left, right, and front of the fire. Even Jorge has his .38 in hand. "Guys," I say, "don't shoot him. It's just probably somebody from town." Someone else says, "Well, screw him then. Why is he out here with us and not saying he is? Everyone knows not to sneak up on people, especially out in this area," which I agree is true. Then we all hear the voice, louder this time, but saying something we can't really make out. Then we hear a second voice, and a third, and a fourth. Chris racks his shotgun and goes, "All right, who the hell's out here? We have guns and they're loaded. Don't screw with us. But his voice is cracking. They're making me really nervous, so I get my gun too to feel a little safer. So we're all standing there, listening to these voices, and then we start hearing branches crack. We all shoulder our guns, and Jorge's in his stance. This time I yell out, "We don't want no trouble. Tell us who you are, stop screwing around." By now it stopped raining, but there is still some thunder going. The voices are getting louder, little by little. It sounds like some people arguing, not fighting, but talking with passion in their voice. It sounds like they're to the front and left of the camp, so we all kind of set up in a line right there. The voices keep going, and we keep hearing leaves rustle and branches break. Chris aims his shotgun into the air and fires once. Who is out there, damn it? I'm getting really scared now, but the voices stop. There's nothing but the thunder every once in a while, so we're really freaking out now. Lightning flashes, and then Austin freaks out and starts pumping buckshot into the forest, yelling out, "I saw him! He's right there! He's right there! I saw him!" And so we all begin shooting. We empty what we had. I know it's stupid, but we were scared. We were fear firing. And we start to reload as fast as possible. We reload. I put a round in the chamber, and I wait. We stand there for a good 5 minutes, sweeping the woods, looking and listening for anything, and there's nothing. No crickets. No frogs. No nothing. After a while we start to calm down, but then we hear these thumping noises, like somebody is running, and they're getting close to us, coming from the front. We take aim. My heart is racing, and I'm holding my breath. These footsteps keep coming, but we don't see anyone. Then I stop, right before they seem like they should be in the firelight. We stand and wait, guns at the ready. Nothing. But then this soft but stern voice says, "Dark times are coming," but it was from behind us. We whip around and see the silhouette of a guy, and I run through the fire to put distance between us. The man stands there for a minute, and then shrieks like a lunatic. Lightning flashes, and the silhouette is gone. We grab our guns and leave. We run through a 3/4 mile of woods, non-stop, and across 3 miles of open field, just gasping and crying. We see a car parked up ahead, and we think that we're safe. But then a GW steps out. "Hold the hell on," he yells. We stop and practically fall over, panting and gasping. "Was that you bunch of shitheads making all that racket in there?" There's someone in the woods, man," Jorge says, and Austin is still looking behind us. "Yeah, for real, there's someone out there, something out there." The GW gets real serious. "Where'd you boys come from?" We start telling him the counties, and he stops us. He says, No, where did you now just come from?" "The woods, man. We were just wanting to cross over." He gets real quiet and then says, "All of you, in the car." "My car is parked. I know where it is. I saw it on my way in. Just get in. I'll drive you." So we pile in, guns still with us. It's super cramped. The GW drives us for a bit and doesn't say anything. Then he stops and says, "You know there's a reason we don't let anyone come out here." We all look at each other. "It's private property. Illegal for y'all to even be here, not to mention own the guns that you do." I think, oh great, we're going to jail. The GW pulls up beside Chris's car and stops. He turns in his seat and says, "But that's all forgiven and forgotten if you pack your narrow asses up and leave. Now, you don't stop at the store, you don't go to the bathroom, you leave. You get across the county line, and you head back to where you came from." We all silently nod. He eyeballs us for a minute, then unlocks the door. We jump out and get in Chris's car. The GW rolls down his window and says, "Last warning, leave." We get the car running and we haul it. We spend no more than a minute on the other side to get Austin's truck, and we're all going 70 down the road. We only talked about it once, and we killed the conversation pretty quickly. Jorge and Chris never went camping anywhere after that, and I don't really blame them. For us, it's easier to just have that mutual knowing, but none of us want to talk about it. And the other thing is, later on we find out that it wasn't private property. It's just land that's there. I genuinely believe that the GW told us that to maybe scare us, or maybe make up something to bring us back to reality from what we just experienced. GWs in the South are hard asses. If they catch you doing anything wrong, even if it's not in their jurisdiction, they'll detain you and call someone whose jurisdiction it's in. I don't entirely blame them though. When you have to deal with 100,000 hunters or a few thousand rednecks all the time, you gotta come down hard, because we know how ornery people can get down here. But we still don't know why he let us off so easy. Why didn't he investigate the people in the woods? I really think that this was out of character for them, and I feel like that he knew just what's out there and just felt it best if we left. So, what'd you think of those encounters? Let me know which one was your favorite one down in the comments. Do you have one of your own? I have an email in the description below that you can send them to if you want to. I also have a PayPal and a Patreon if you would like to donate to the channel that way. And something kind of funny that happened today was I was cleaning off my car because we had yet another nor'easter here where I live in Canada. And as I'm cleaning off my car, I can hear something scraping in the woods. So this is not out of the ordinary. There's lots of animals around here. So I'm looking around just to try to identify it so I feel better about it. And I see a deer, but it's like standing straight up. So I'm like, oh great, this is how I die right here. But then like it was standing up against the tree, eating the bark off it, so it's just doing deer stuff. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I was like initially just like, oh, here it comes. But yeah, it sounds less funny now that I say it out loud, but I hope you found it funny. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.